Hello and welcome to my channel. This is My Life for Ire, and today I'm gonna show you my book list because I'm bored. I'm gonna show you what books I've read so far, my story of book reading. Nothing special, right? So this is my book list. I keep track of all the books I read, and reading, yeah. So first of all, I'm gonna get this out of the way because these are the Chinese books I read growing up. My first 21 years of reading is all here. They are Chinese. I started reading from 16-year-olds when I got into high school. I started reading. And before that, I never read a book beside some entertaining storybooks and whatnot, and some novels, classic fictions. But after that, I really started proactively seeking out literatures to read in all kinds of category, poetry, literature, novel, philosophy, and just random stuff. A lot of random stuff. Really weird. 130 Chinese books. Many of them are actually translation of Western books, but also a lot of classic like 论语, 孟子, 庄子, all those classic Chinese philosophy books. I really enjoy those. Also, I really enjoyed Chinese poetry. 诗经, 楚辞, 三曹, etc. Okay, and then I went to college, and one of my tennis partners, when he left the college, he gave me this gift. Ladam, or I don't know how to pronounce this thing. It's French. I don't know how to pronounce this thing. I still don't know. I still haven't figured out because it's on the book cover. I didn't bother to look it up in English. So, Ladam. Okay, this book is very famous. Right? It's pretty. I started by reading that. That was my first ever foreign language book that I read when I was in college. That was like second year, third year, something like that. I wasn't so good at English yet, but still, it was very difficult at first. I had to look up all the words, but it was also very motivating, very interesting because hey, I'm learning new words every day, every page. There are new words. It's fun, and I look it up and I immediately understand how what it means in this paragraph. And next time when the word comes up, I can just understand it. It's super awesome. So that was a great. I took that book to on a holiday, and then I read it during the holiday. I finished it incredibly. It was pretty enjoyable. I remember I really enjoyed the story, but right now I have no idea what it's about. It's so long ago, I don't remember at all. I read it once with my broken English, so that was that. So and then during my third year at college, I moved to Germany for 1 year exchange, and there I started reading German books. There are quite a lot of German books I read, like total 13 German books. Here, there are some here. Damien's classic. Ich darf nicht schlafen. This is the first novel I borrowed and read, and not borrowed, bought and read from German bookstore. It's a really cool story. Obviously, it's also translated from English. It's English fiction and yeah. Translated into German. Anyway, I enjoyed reading that. Umzug Roman. It's also very cheesy stuff. Rocks. This one I don't remember the title. The title was in Latin. It's a fancy word Latin for death or something. Basically, it's about a rock star twin brother that is dead, and it's a mystery. And his brother that is alive is trying to find out the rock star that's dead, or where is he gone? How is he dead? Find out the mystery and stuff. Pretty interesting. Then I read a bunch of educational books. Here, I don't want to bore you with these ones. It's really boring books like how to teach and teaching, competent teaching, motivational learning and stuff. I don't know. I was into pedagogic. What is it called? The education, the term. Yeah, I was into that. After that, basically once I left Germany, I didn't read much in German anymore. So during my stay there, my friend Melinda recommended me a lot of literature. Like 1984, we read together. It was wonderful. My first, not my first, the second classic English literature that I read entirely in English. So awesome. It's one of the all-time favorite. I still remember a lot of things from there. It left me with a very deep impression. So along the way of reading the book, I was also anticipating, guessing what is it gonna go, where is it gonna go, where is it gonna lead to, what's gonna happen. I was imagining what's gonna happen, but in the end, it didn't happen as I visioned. But whatever, it's still a wonderful story. It's I have I could write my own stories, my own sequels for 1984. Anyway, next one is the Book Thief. The Book Thief, I think it was recommended by my friend Matthias. Yeah, and then I bought it on Amazon from China. It comes in a very cheap paper. In China, you can buy all those classic novels and all the latest novel as well in English, but the quality it's really bad. The paper is really bad. I don't know why. It's like a fake, but it's not. I don't know. Chinese version is weird. Alright, next one is To Kill a Mockingbird. All these books are finishing during my 4th year at college. So once I returned, I left Germany, returned China, and started reading in English instead. Because me and my then girlfriend was speaking in English all the time because obviously it was easier for us to communicate. So that's also she studies literature and languages and stuff. So that's why she can give me a lot of advices and suggestions of what you should read, what is classic, what is good. So I read all those. To Kill a Mockingbird, and then There Was None is. It's also her recommendation, I think. I read that on the airplane. Frankenstein, Dracula, super duper enjoyable. I didn't expect to enjoy these books so much. Frankenstein and Dracula was so awesome. They're like, I think it was like a in the format of a letter, corresponding letters. It's so interesting. I've never seen that format of novel before. It's very novel to me. It's very innovative, though it was a very old classic book. Alright, next one, Chasing Daylight. I just found it, I don't know, found it online. I think it's my friend sent me or something. It's a PDF, it's a ebook, kind of boring. It's a GM executive, or no, not GM. It's a big, huge company's executive that retired, and he's diagnosed with terminal illness, and he's talking about how money doesn't matter in the end. Blah 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 blah. Kind of boring, cheesy stuff, but yeah, rest in peace. Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This is one of the classic everybody knows, but I don't know, I didn't get into the story that much. Like, it didn't really resonate with me. I don't know. Animal Farm, awesome. Just awesome. You can negotiate anything. I was super into like talking and negotiating and persuading those kind of stuff because Wolf of Wall Street, right? I was kind of into this kind of thing. In the end, it's useless. I didn't learn any practical negotiation skill from there. Probably didn't because I don't remember a thing from that book. Also, those kind of a self-help book in general, I just I can't learn anything from it, but sometimes, from time to time, I read one of those. Fahrenheit 451, also a classic, but didn't resonate with me that much. Like, it was kind of boring for me. And, you know, everybody has a different taste. So, next, The Wolf of Wall Street. Hey, this one finally. After watching the movie like 2 times in the cinema, I finally bought the book and started reading. And I finished it in 2015. I think it took me a year to finish, I think. This is a big book. Jordan Belfort, he's written a lot in his book. Yeah, it's an interesting, very interesting journey with Jordan Belfort. I'm personally very impressed with the Jordan Belfort's speech, his skill of communicating and convincing in person more than Leonardo DiCaprio's depiction in the movie. Like his real person is more powerful, more than the movie character. You can try to look it up, find some of his teaching, coaching videos. There are a lot on YouTube. Our next one, The Education of a Value Investor. This one is audiobook. I think I got this one by because I signed up for the Audible free trial, and then I forgot to cancel it. So I got a bunch of book anyway. The Education of a Value Investor was boring about stock and stock investing and stuff. I was into that kind of stuff during that time. A random walk down the Wall Street, obviously another Wall Street stock market book. More Than Money: 5 Forms of Capital to Create Value and Eliminate Poverty. This one I borrowed from a university library. At 2015, I was in Venice already. I'm studying economics and management. That's why I wanted to read more about economics and money and all those stuff. Yeah. In International Monetary Policy After Euro. This is a big, boring book that is not supposed to be read. It's like it's something you research. You use this book, but it's not something you read for fun. Next one, Notes from Toyota Land, an American engineer in Japan. This one's a wonderful book. This is about an American engineer who worked in Japan for, I don't know, a year or 3 years or 5 years, I don't remember by this point, but he explained his story, his experience as expat, as foreigner in Japan. It's very different, a lot of conflicts in culture, and it's very interesting, mind-blowing, eye-opening. You can see a lot, I can see that there are a lot of things that in common between Japanese and Chinese, but still Japanese are like one step further in the traditional realm. They really keep all those customs and traditions and really stubborn in some ways. It's a very interesting, enjoyable book. And yeah, if you are interested in Japanese culture, you can read this one. It's pretty cool. Seriously, I'm kidding. This one by Ellen. I never remember his surname. Degenerate. Regenerate. Seriously, I'm kidding. This is an awful book. It's like one of those popular bestseller books that is just trash. It's completely nonsense. Like, she's just fooling around in the book, like making jokes here and there. It's not worth it. Car Guys versus Bean Counters. This is a book about the car makers. I don't remember which car makers. Is it GM or is it Ford? Maybe Ford. I don't remember. It's been a very long time, and it's about never mind. It's not important. It's just if you're into car industry, you can read this thing. It's pretty cool, I guess. Billy Alfred and General Motors. This is another automobile book, as suggested by title. So because by then I was, why was I into this? Because we had a class, we had a lecture on kind of those. We had a case study in our lecture to study those car companies like Ford. How did they explain? one was for the most popular car in the world, and blah blah blah, all those stuff. And I was interested in those for a while. Next one, excuse me, Wall Street Values, Business Ethics and Global Financial Crisis, boring stuff. What Money Can't Buy, The Moral Limits of Markets. I think I borrowed from library. Change Anything, The New Science of Personal Success. Okay. The Social Life of Money. This one was slightly more interesting, I guess. Anyway, the one in red is my top pick. Like the one left me with the most impressions. Even though this one I don't remember much from this book anymore. It's so long ago, and I don't care about cars and business anymore. So maybe that's why it's slipping by my brain. Anyway, red means I really enjoyed it. It's the best. Best I can recommend, and orange is the second best category. So that and the others are just normal, without any format. Next one, The Social Life of Money, Message in a Bottle. This one is cheesy love story. Nicholas Sparks or something. The author is very famous, right? Yeah, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. 5 People You Meet in Heaven. This one is cheesy. At first time I found it in the library. No, in a bookstore. In which bookstore? I don't remember. I just read a few paragraphs and then left it there. And yeah, in 2015 I picked it up again. Unfortunately, didn't enjoy it that much. Next one, The 14-Hour Stars. I think this is audiobook. Wonderful book. Enjoyed it. It's what's it called? Teen fiction. What was it called? Young adults literature by John Green or John. I think it's John. John is the writer. Yeah, it's a wonderful story. Wonderful little story. Very enjoyable. The Glass Castle. Alright, this one is really motivational, really good. Like, can I just add a star? So, let's actually emphasize the importance of this book is because it's really good. Glass Castle is about a girl's struggle during growing up. It's really touching, really moving to see his relationship evolving with the father and mother, and yeah, it's really touching. Yeah, incredible book. And then I read the sequel of this book. It's a Half Broken Horse. It's actually a prequel because it's about it's from the perspective of her mother. So yeah, that's a prequel. Also, it's a half fiction, half biography kind of stuff. Didn't enjoy it as much as the Glass Castle because next one, Becoming Steve Jobs. Oh, this one. This is the audiobook I got when I first got signed up in Audible, and forgot to cancel. So I just found some of the biggest book because the longest book to purchase, to download, because that way it'd be worth the money. So Becoming Steve Jobs was super big book, super long, 20-something hours. The entire book. Normally, an audiobook is like around 10 hours, right? Some like if it's longer, it's 12 hours, 13 hours. And this one is over 20 hours. It's super long. And wasn't into Steve Jobs. I'm not a fan of Apple. So didn't resonate with me. But it was fun to learn about his life, understand what kind of person he was. And it took me a long ass time to finish this book. Alright, next one, Elon Musk biography. This one, let's add a bold font, so make it more important, because this is one of the best books I've read ever. Also, those classics should deserve also some extra something. Anyway, Elon Musk biography. I was super duper huge fan of Elon Musk. And this book inspired me to get into solar panel stuff. I got some solar panel from Amazon, the one you can charge your phone with, and eventually led to my failed investment in a Kickstarter that is like a thin film solar panel, portable. I put a lot of money in it, and it was a disaster. I lost all the money and got a bunch of useless charger, solar panel charger that nobody wants. I can't even sell them on second market. Can't even sell them on eBay. It's a disaster. Because I don't know, I was so into the idea of solar panel, and I just forgot I was a student. I had no income at that time. Like, yeah, actually, I worked for a month in a hotel during that period, and I quit the job and thought, okay, let's invest in solar panel. That's a good idea. Fuck me. Wasted all my savings. Next one, The Martian. Huge hit in 2015, right? The movie came out. The novel was great. It's super thoroughly enjoyable. Next one, the Everything Store is about Amazon, about Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos? Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. The Virgin Way, obviously, is about the Virgin, the company Virgin, and its creator. Next, The Great Gatsby, one of the greatest book ever, right? It's a wonderful film. Watch the film. Leonardo DiCaprio. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Next one, The 100-Year-Old Man Climbed Out of a Window and Disappeared. Boring. How Google Works. About Google. Okay. I don't remember much. Next, Die Katze, die kam, zu bleiben. Another German book. Oh, I don't even remember this thing. This was translated from a Swedish literature. It's an old philosopher kind of person, professor. He wrote this story about his cat, so a little heartwarming story, but in the end, it is boring. It's cheesy and boring. It's just nothing special. It's just about an old man with his cat, with a cat. Next, Superintelligence, about, obviously, superintelligence, about AI in the future, speculating what, how AI will develop. Obviously, also inspired by Elon Musk. Next, What If? It's a fun little book to explore what different situations, what's gonna happen. Like if you hit a baseball at the speed of light, what's gonna happen? Blah, blah. Next one, Das Psychologiebuch. It's like an introduction to psychology, but it's in German. I went to Germany, Augsburg for a vacation for a week. About this book, and I give this copy to one of my friends who's into psychology, who is half German. This was a pretty interesting book. It's very fun to read. It has graphs and everything. It's one of those science books that is fun to read. Very informational. Next one, Total Recall. This is by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Awesome book. Holy shit. It's long, but it's totally worth it. It's so motivational, so inspirational. Great book. Great book. I ranked it right after Elon Musk biography because how awesome Elon Musk is. He deserves to be the president of the earth. Alright, next, The Meaning of It All. Don't remember. Open, another awesome biography. I was so into biography then. This is by Andre Agassi, one of the best tennis player in the world, and also I'm a fan of his. So, great book about his struggle with the drugs and his fake hair, his wig. Super cool story. Next, Of Mice and Men. Wow, this one is amazing, man. Those classics are amazing. Love this book. Really touching. There's a movie as well, I think. Look it up. It's great. Chick is a book somebody gave me for Christmas. My half-German friend gave me for Christmas. Wonderful book. Really fun to read, and it's also for me to überholen my German. Pick up my German again, something like that. It's really nice. It's difficult to read at first, but over time you get used to those things. Yeah, because I hadn't read German for a long time in 2016. Alright, move on. Something for Nothing. I don't remember. Pitch Anything and innovative method for presenting, persuading, and winning. Look, I was still into this kind of thing, this kind of bullshit. This kind of book is not gonna take you anywhere. You gotta practice. If you want to persuade people, you better do a sales job or learning in real life. You can't just read a book and then suddenly you are convincing, you're persuading. No, that's bullshit. Don't read this kind of book. Check it out. The next one, 7 bad ideas. I guess it's a bad idea to read this book because I don't remember a thing. Next one, Welcome to the Monkey House. This one is a collection of short stories. If I don't remember, if I didn't recall wrong, if I recall correctly, yeah, I guess it was fun. Into the Wild, very famous, the guy who went into the wild and basically starved himself. Moon is a harsh mistress. I heard that Elon Musk recommended this book, so I was like, oh, this must be awesome. So I read this book, but it was okay, it's entertaining. But then I read another book by this same author. It's called Double Star, and I thought this one is better, so I give it orange here. I don't know, both are worth reading, I guess. Next one, Dreams from My Father, a story of race and inheritance. This one is by Barack Obama before he became president. Next one, Binge. This is Tyler Oakley. I was into Tyler Oakley, the YouTuber thing. So I read that, but actually not much content in there, famous celebrities, YouTube celebrities. What do they have to say? Next one, Wild, Cheryl Strait. What was it about? Can't remember. What was it about? Is she a runner? Like she running and something? I don't remember. Fuck it. Who cares? It's not even orange. Next. Die Physik der Zukunft, unser Leben in 100 Jahren. The future, the physics of future, our life in 100 years. This one is by the famous Japanese physics professor, pop lecturer. You can see him on television, on YouTube very often. I don't remember his name. The Japanese, the white hair, the guy. Pretty cool. Interesting story, exploring future technology, future science, where it's gonna go, how humanity will evolve, and blah blah blah. Sometimes it's cheesy, sometimes it's interesting. I didn't give it an orange, I guess. I don't know. And also it was it was in German. I think I donated to the university. I donated this. I put this book on the sharing shelf. I don't remember the name. Venice International University. There you go, on the island San Salvador. Okay, next one, Paper Towns. Another one by Hank Green. Not Hank Green. John Green. I'm sorry, John Green. Paper Towns. Paper Towns basically is it means the town that is fictional. The map maker put a fictional town onto the map so that he will know that if someone else is copying his map, because if this town shows up on the map, it means they didn't check, they didn't make the map himself, but they copied it. So that's a very fun little fact. But that's also the only thing I remember from that book. Silence by Preston Natasha. This is one of those pop fiction, really cheesy bullshit free book on Amazon you can find, and they use all the tricks they can to trick you to buy their second book. The first one is free, and they trick you to buy the second one. I didn't buy it because it was so shit, so bad, and I read it for fun. Really, this is so bad. Okay, Ready Player One. I was super into, by the way, a lot of these books are audiobook. I was super into reading audiobook because it's much easier for me because I don't have the attention span to staring at the page for an hour. But I do have the patience to listen to something, to listen to somebody telling me a story for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. So that's why reading audiobook is a huge revolution to my book reading career. Ready Player One, very famous. We got a movie last year, I think. Last year, or I don't remember, but didn't really enjoy it. Too much reference to pop culture and those classic gaming stuff. if you are someone in the future, like if you are a kid living in the future in the 21st century, there's no way you remember all those stuff, all the classic games in 80s and 90s. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's like a self-indulgence for the author. He's into his own fiction. Yeah, he is into 80s games and 90s games. He just expect everyone should know. I don't know. I don't like it. Alright, 1Q84 Murakami. This starts my whole journey of reading Murakami. This is a crazy big ass book. It has two books? It has 2 books. 2 in 1. Right? I read the whole thing 2 in 1. Thoroughly enjoyed this crazy book. Alright, give it a bolt. Next, Running Man, a memoir. This guy was a drug addict or something. He got into jail or something, and he just ran in the jail. Was actually pretty fun to read. Also, I was running during that time, so it was fun. Dark Matter, one of those cheesy sci-fi fiction. Sapiens, A Brief History of Mankind. I don't remember much, but this book was pretty interesting at the time. I also recommend it to many other people as well. It's a really interesting narration of a human behavior, human race, why we are how we are left today. Like, yeah, something like that. Shoe Dog is about Nike, the founder of Nike, how he founded Nike. Lord of the Flies, another recommendation by Melinda. It's very nice. Difficult to read at the first. Those classic are all like this. Difficult to read at first, but once you get into it, it's pretty interesting. 101 filmmaking tips and tricks. So at this point, I was into. At first, I was into videography, filmmaking and stuff because Casey Neistat, because of vlogging. So I wanted to learn about more about filmmaking, but in this book it also talked about aperture, shutter priority, aperture, shutter speed, exposure, ISO, all those basic properties in camera, and all the basic you need to know. Also the focal length and what's the relation between all those different numbers. And what difference does it make if you use a different lens or use a different setting? So that's really started me on my photography journey, actually. Yeah. After that, I actually understand how to use a camera. Before that, I didn't know at all. I just shot auto all the time. But after that, I started using manual all the time. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Next one, Mediterranean Crossings, the Politics of an Interrupted Modernity. Kind of one of those scholarly academic book, boring. Chaos Monkeys. This one is about Silicon Valley. Damn, I don't remember. Okay, next one. We Are Legion. We Are Bob. This one of science fiction, highly rated. I didn't find it interesting. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. One of those self-helping books. As I said, every now and then I get one of those books to read. Sixth column. I don't remember. Algorithm to Live By. About how human brain are wired. Like, we have a certain way of behaving and those psychology stuff in society. I don't know. Economics, how to run a drug cartel. Don't remember much from that book. Eye Wide Open, how to make a smart decision in a confusing world. Damn, I don't remember this title even. That's why you don't read those self-help book. It's bullshit. The Fold, science fiction book. I guess the concept was interesting. A Golden Voice, Ted Williams. Oh, this guy. If you look him up, he's pretty interesting life journey. He was a radio host or something, but then he got addicted to drug, and then he ended up on the street, and then in the end he was discovered by someone by random, at random, and he got famous on YouTube. So that jump started his radio career again. So he got hired to do radio stuff again, to use his beautiful golden voice as suggested in the title. Indeed, his voice was awesome, but then he also talked about how he was on and off on the drugs, and it's kind of a relapse. What's the word? So in the end, I was disappointed that he didn't completely get rid of the drug addiction and start a new life. But still, he was still fighting, still struggling, kind of. I don't know. Didn't feel it was 100% sincere, but it was an awesome journey as well. So I give it orange. Next one, Diario di una schiappa. Guai in arrivo. This is the very famous the kid diary thing, the little figure comic book that kids read. This one is in Italian. I thought it was okay. It was pretty fun to read, I guess. My Italian's bad, so reading this was a kind of practice. This is my first Italian book. Yeah, my first Italian book is a comic book. Don't judge me. Yeah, next one, The Game of Life and How to Play It. Don't remember a thing. Next one, David Copperfield. This one actually took me 2 years. I marked it here in 2017 March 11, but actually I started reading it in 2015 or something, maybe. Yeah, at least a year. I spent at least a year because it's such a big book and it's difficult to read, really difficult to read. And I had to watch the movie as well to help me understand what's going on. It's such a big book and it took so much. I don't remember when I read the second chapter, I already forgot what's happening in the first chapter. So watching the movie really helped me like straighten out the clue, the plot line, and I just finished it very easily. Wonderful book. Next one, The Power of Meaning. Don't remember. The Dark Earth, science fiction, it's a zombie apocalypse book. Cheap stuff on Amazon. War of Art. Somebody recommended this book. I don't remember much, but I guess it's worth reading. The Dispatcher. Didn't like it. The 5 Seconds Rule. This one, I didn't give it orange. I think it's pretty cool though. Sometimes I think of this kind of thing. Like if you have an idea of doing something, just do it. Give yourself 5 seconds. If you don't do it, you die. Okay. You just count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you go ahead, do it. Like if you want to speak to a girl at the bar, you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, here I go. If you just think, what if she has a boyfriend? What if I'm ugly? What if I'm not dressed up properly? Then you will never go. All right, you just count 5 seconds. This kind of thing. This kind of motivational book. All right, next 14 is science fiction, some kind of thing. Crooked House. Oh, this one was awesome, eh? This one was awesome. I don't remember the name of the author, but she has some interesting. Oh wait, it's the same author as and then there were none. That's why I looked up these books. Where is it? And then there were none. It's wonderful little fiction, crime, horror, suspense stuff. It's very nice entertainment. Where are we? Endless Night as well. Same author. That lady can write. My Holiday in North Korea. It sheds a light in the life in North Korea, and it's from a perspective of a tourist who managed to visit North Korea for a period of time. Just talking about North Korea life in general, kind of the dystopia life world. Oh my god, Light Switch, self-help book, The Child and Audible Drama. Horrible book. It's so cheesy, so predictable, and the drama format of audiobook, not a fan. So basically they hire a bunch of different actors, actresses to voice act the different characters. I just find it obnoxious. Just don't do it. Drama. Ugh. Next one, Fame and Fortune: The Progress of Richard Hunter. This one is cheap ebook I found online. I guess was inspirational. I don't remember. I don't remember much. Everything told me. I think this one was pretty touching, but now I don't remember. See, I don't remember many things. There are too many. I think it's about family, something like that. I don't remember. Finding the Road Home. Don't remember. The Adventure of Tom Sawyer. The first time I read this one was in Chinese when I was a kid, when I was in school, and I didn't get into it. I was like, in Chinese it's 汤姆索亚历险记. So I was thinking, hey, there's only Tom. Everybody's talking about Tom. Where is Sawyer? I didn't understand that Tom and Sawyer is the same person. It's a first name, first name and surname of same person. I didn't know how it works in English, right? And because in Chinese it's totally different. Because Tom could be a name for a person, and that's it. You don't have to have another name. So I was puzzled by this book. Why is there only Tom? Where is Sawyer? But I didn't finish it in Chinese. I was totally bored by this book. It's like, what is this? Why is this interesting? Anyway, read this in 2017, and it's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful book. Beautiful story, very well crafted, very well written, and very classic, traditional language as well. Very classic English, very interesting. Next one, Almost a Man. What was it? Oh, another free book from Gutenberg. Yeah, it's a very old book as well, 18th century or 19th century, about how to be a man. I don't know why I read this. Records of Journeys to Venice and Low Countries, the Dürer. The Painter's Story. It's not really a story, it's kind of a journey. Like, he records how much money he owes someone, and how much he sold this painting for, how much money he made this month, and blah blah blah. This kind of stuff. It's really boring. It's really boring, and I'm not really into art stuff, so I don't know why I read this. Next one, Uncommon Type. Don't remember. The Disaster Artist. It's about The Room, the famous movie. The Room, wonderful movie. Wonderful. It's the best worst movie in the world. It has a cult following. So Tommy Wiseau, this guy, yeah, you should know it, right? If you're watching a YouTube video, you should know this guy. So I don't have to explain. This is a wonderful book. I really enjoy this book. Like, you can just feel like you are in the story. You're part of the story. You are witnessing the story in your own eyes. It's really nicely written. Really humorous, super funny. It's written by the other guy. Gosh, I don't remember his partner. What's his name? The tall, blonde guy in the movie. Anyway, beautiful book. Read it. If you watch the movie, you should read the book. The book is really awesome. Artemis, same author as the Martian. Leonardo da Vinci. This one is difficult for me to read because I'm not into art and stuff. Everything was tough. Next one, The Science Delusion. The Science Delusion. Oh, this one is the ebook I found online. It's awesome. I watched a TED Talk about it, I think. Or yeah, I think I watched a online video, and then you mentioned this book he wrote, because I was so fascinated by those ideas. Basically, is talking about how science is now becoming the new religion. It's like people believing in science just in the exact same way as ancient people believing in God. Like science is something that untouchable, that is absolute truth, which is yeah, something the author is doubting, and he give a lot of arguments. It's really interesting, thought-provoking, 100% worth reading. Let's give it both. Yeah, there you go. It's a beautiful book, right? In 10 chapters, I think, discussing 10 different aspects in science. What is the problem with science, and why is it a delusion, quote unquote. Alright, next one, Educated. It's a similar kind of book as the Glass Castle, but this one is you can't really surpass Glass Castle. Like it's like a bad imitation of that. I don't like it, but it's like a bestseller. People really love it. I don't like it. The Glass Castle is much 100 times better. Next one, 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos. This one is actually pretty interesting, right? It's like a self-discipline stuff. It looks like a self-motivation, self-help book, but actually it's much better than that. Next one, Lock In. What was it? Some fiction, don't remember. Extreme Ownership. Another self-help book. Next one, Rip Off. Oh, this one is a collection of short stories that this curator, he invited those authors to write a story with the same opening sentence as many famous literatures. So basically they rip off, quote unquote, rip off famous classic works, first sentence, opening, and then start a whole new story from there. So I don't know if you're into this kind of thing, you can read it. Next one, 50 Great Short Stories. I bought this book in China and just brought it back. This book has been sitting on the shelf in China for many years, and I went back to China in May 2018 and came back with this book. I picked it up from the shelf, dusted it off, and started reading again, and it's great. It's really entertaining. It's beautiful 50 little stories. Yeah, I don't know if you can find it here. Next one, MOOCs. Mass open source, open online courses. This is one of the book published by MIT. It's about those online courses like Coursera, like edX, those websites. How these work, how do they profit, how do they run, and how is it benefiting people, and blah blah blah. It's kind of academic work. It's really boring. Like, yeah, if you have taken a course yourself, you know how it works. You don't have to read this book. Next one, English fairy tales. Oh, this is all the classic English fairy tales I found on Gutenberg. It's interesting, good to like this kind of book is supposed to be read when you are like a 10-year-old. Now I'm a big adult, 27. I was reading this. The God Delusion. This is like direct counter. Like this book came out first, The God Delusion. So this is Dawkins. It was Dawkins, right? I don't remember the guy that is anti religion. He's like, science is the best, and blah blah blah. And then this guy wrote a Science Delusion. These two guys are they fighting each other. But I think the Science Delusion has much better writing, has much better argument, much more rational, as opposed to the God Delusion was like preaching. You say God is there's no proof for God. Okay, so where's your proof of non-existence of God? So I don't know. I don't like this book. I much prefer the Science Delusion. It's much more interesting and much more convincing as well, to be honest. God Delusion is cheesy. Like, maybe because the era, like this is probably very old, so people back in the days were still like very close-minded. That's why he wrote this book, to open them up. But now it's kind of outdated. Like people don't really believe in God in the same way people do 50 years ago. Next one, L'Amico Immaginario. This one is a Italian book. I picked it up in Media World here in shopping mall at a discount. A little story about this kid, his adventure with his imaginary friend. His imaginary friend saving him from a kidnapping, blah blah blah. Very cheesy, super cheesy stuff. Also, it's a translation from English literature. Not recommended. I read this only for practicing Italian. I can't believe that I managed to read this because my Italian was really bad. Next one. The desert and the sea, 977 days captive on the Somali pirates coast. This one's wonderful. Wonderful adventure of his captive life. Wow, that's 970 days, 3 years. You go through the up and downs. Oh, it's an amazing story. Read it, read it, read it. Man's Search for Meaning. This one is a classic. I don't remember much. Blind Willow, Sleeping Woman. Went to Bologna with my friend and we picked up some Murakami because she loves Murakami and I really enjoyed 1Q84, so why not? Let's read more about by Murakami. So this one is a collection of short stories. And Man Without Woman, also short collection of short stories by Murakami. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stories. Like instantly after reading this, instantly struck me as like someone knows me, someone resonate with me. It's like if I ever write a story, this would be the way I write it. Murakami is the way I would write my story. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. After this, I started binge reading Murakami. It's crazy. Next one, Self-Tracking MIT. One of those academic boring book. Full of shit. It's probably unfair because I'm not a researcher, but it's really boring. I was thinking, self-tracking in what sense? In the sense of you tracking yourself, like a social behavior. You track yourself reading all those books. Look, I'm doing self-tracking, right? Or keeping a book of your finance. It's also self-tracking, right? To keep a record of what you do in your life and stuff. This is the kind of self-tracking I was expecting the author to talk about, but instead, the author just go on and on, non-stop about running, self-tracking the abs, self-tracking how much you run, how the calories and bullshit, those stuff. It's very practical, very commercial sense of self-tracking, and also very academic. So it's science. It's boring. Right? Don't read it. Don't. Kafka on the Shore, beautiful. Killing Commendatory. This is one of the latest release, like 2018 new book, just released and I bought it. Beautiful. On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I can't pronounce the name. One of the classic. You know, yeah, one of the classic American literature. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. Really inspires me to travel more, which I did not. But I recommend for everyone to read this one. It's a beautiful book. Like really, it's like kind of a book that you read in classroom, right? Because it's so classic, right? Right? I don't know. I never went to a school in English. Next one, The Power of a Concentration. Don't remember, Humble Leader. Don't remember, crowdsourcing. Just like self-tracking and mock or MOOC. Boring stuff. All right, let's move on. This year, 2019, what do we have in here? Dubliners. Beautiful short stories. A short history of England. This is why I read this book, because I watched The Last Kingdom and then started watching Vikings, and I'm super interested in this time period, the Viking period, like the King Alfred and everything. So I started reading a little bit of history of England to understand it better, the background and what happened next, and all the consequences after all those Viking pillaging. Next, the White Horse King, Alfred the Great. So not inspirational, but it's like one of the greatest king in the world in English history. It's like awesome book reading his. Also because why I like Alfred so much, because the performance by the actor in The Last Kingdom, man, is his portrait of Alfred charming and yeah, impressive, just impressive. Love that show, and that's why I love this character, love this this time period, and I love this book for all those facts. And it's a really vivid depiction of the battle, like the first battle of Alfred, when he was fighting alongside with his brother. That was so amazing story to read. It's not boring at all. It's a beautiful story. Huh? Read it. Next one, Colorless Tsukuru Tazaki and His Years of Pilgrimage. Another Murakami. Not as great as the other one, in my opinion, but still worth reading. The Laws of Human Nature, boring. Homo Deus. This is same author as the Sapiens. Sapiens, a brief history of mankind. If you were into that kind of book, you should read this one. In the end, I didn't find this very innovative, kind of repeating all the stuff that I already know. Next one, The Mastery of Destiny. A Plea for Error. This one I got in a second-hand bookstore for 1 or 2 euros. Pretty cool, nice. So it's essays. It's a bunch of short essays put together into a book. Just her thoughts and everything. Thinking Fast and Slow, boring. Hard-Boiled Wonderland and End of the World. This one's pretty interesting. Like, Murakami was narrating 2 stories at the same time, and yet in the end they are connected. These 2 stories are connected in the end. One is very fictional, the other one is more realistic. It's very interesting. The Dead Drink First. It's an Audible original, one of the Audible originals. Not a fan. A Wanna Bird Chronicle. This one was also fun to read, very entertaining. The narrator was so annoying when she does the little girl voice. Oh my god. Yeah? Is it that one? Yes, it's that one, yeah. The narrator totally ruined the book. If you look up the review on Audible, everyone is rating the story 5 stars and the narration 1 star because the narrator is so obnoxious. He was doing the characters in the book. Yeah, you can do it a little bit, slightly. You just differ the voices of different characters. But he was going all the way. When it's a girl, a little girl, he's when it's an old man, it was horrible. It was, at one point there was a character that has really, how do you describe the sound, the voice? It's old man's voice, and it really penetrates your eardrum, like, in a way, like resonating. There's like echoes, and it's like that, and it just kills my ears. I couldn't follow it. It's crazy. All right, the narrator just yeah. That's a shame. Such a shame. The book is great though. Book is great. Next one, Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies in Silicon Valley Startup. Great book. Great book. At a glance of this title, you thought, okay, it's about a bunch of stories of those Silicon Valley companies, but no, it's just one company, one story about this woman who started a blood testing company, and is completely delusional, and she's thought she can be revolutionary, be the next Steve Jobs, and she's imitating Steve Jobs in the way she dresses, in the way she talks, and in the way she behaves, her demeanor, and you know, how she moves. She's completely imitating Steve Jobs, and so cringy. You can find her video online as well. She's famous for doing a fake deep voice. She's doing a fake deep voice to kind of show people that she has authority to dress herself up as an authority figure that somebody has to respect. But you lose respect by pretending to be someone you are not. So I don't know. This person is horrible, man. Horrible person. She was charged with fraud, and yeah, she is banned from being a CEO ever. If not ever, it's like 5 years or 10 years, something like that, in any company. Yeah, this is basically a story about her and her bullshit startup, her dream and delusional pursuit, her machine, her device that never worked, and the lies she told in media and stuff. Interesting. You can look up on YouTube as well. I don't remember her name at this point. It was a few months ago. I don't remember the name. Next one, No Excuse, Existentialism and the Meaning of Life, the Great Course. This is one of the Great Course audible book. Rivals, Frenemies That Changed the World. This one is fun to read. A little fun fact about different. There's some details in history. Very, very interesting stuff. The Other Side of History, Daily Life in the Ancient World, the Great Course. Didn't leave much impression. Next one, Motorcycle Diary. This is something just like On the Road, but it's by I can't speak Spanish, so que that guy, the revolution guy, right? You know him, right? You should know him. I have the book. I can't reach out to it. It's a little bit far from me. Anyway, he's the South American revolution guy. Very famous, very famous. Very interesting book, beautiful book. Really fun story to read. Okay, next, Economic History of the World since the 1400s. Boring. Norwegian Wood. Finally I read Norwegian Wood. Interesting, yeah. This one is very realistic, not like the other books, like 1Q84 or the Hard-Boiled Wonderland. Those books are like fictions, not science fictions, but like fantasy, half science fiction. There are always mysterious, supernatural stuff. But Norwegian Wood is completely realistic stuff, and really, yeah, really moving, really touching. It's you can really, I mean, the plot can be cheesy, okay? The plot can be really cheesy, and people killing themselves and blah blah blah. But the emotion is so realistic. The emotion really resonates. Emotion is like, oh, okay, that's exactly how I would feel if I were in his shoes. So that's why I really like this book. It's because the emotion, the depiction of the emotions are exactly how it should be, exactly how I feel. All right, A Life in Parts. This one is by Brian. I never remember people's name. Cranston. Walter White. His autobiography. Worth a reading if you're a fan. Obviously, I'm a huge fan, so I liked it. The Story of Human Languages. Oh, this one is awesome. Holy shit. I didn't expect this book to be so awesome. This one is also the Great Course. Part of the Great Course. But this one is awesome, man. First of all, I'm interested in linguistics. I'm interested in languages, accents, dialects, those kind of stuff. So this book is exactly dealing with this kind of stuff, and it talks about how languages evolve over time, how English pick up all those peculiarities from other languages and from the communities during the time, and explain many things, very fun facts, how the sound, the vowel shifted, changed it, like a book. Was not pronounced as book back in the days. It was a bog or something like that, and now it becomes a book, and double O becomes a oo sound. Why is it so? And why is the plural form of foot, feet, not foot? Also explains this kind of thing. It's really fun to read, super fun. I expected something boring, right, academic, but no, this is totally down to earth. The professor, oh my, the professor is wonderful. I wish he were my professor. I would love to study with him. It's just, he's like telling stories. Right? He was like telling stories and shared knowledge. It's wonderful. Alright. Give it vote, just because I'm biased. Personally, I'm personal interest bias. Alright, next one. Why Roke's Quantum Mechanic. Boring stuff, Audible original stuff I read this month. Really cheesy. I was expecting something more sci-fi, more technical stuff, quantum mechanic, you know. But nope, it's a cheesy family relationship story that is in sci-fi disguise. It's if you just take out the shell of sci-fi, it's just a family story and a relationship, teenager relationship story. Pretty boring, pretty cheesy. Influence, the psychology of persuasion. I read this month, but do I remember? Influence, the psychology of persuasion. Actually, it was pretty interesting. Yeah. I remember. Actually, it's pretty interesting. It talks about how those little tricks people play on you, like the salesman. They first show you the expensive item, and then they show you the cheap item because they take advantage of your brain, how it thinks. Like you won't reject the cheaper one later or something like that. So pretty much is telling you about all the leverages in psychology that you can use to trick people into believing what you say or what you sell. So I guess it's practical. It's or I'm not sure if it's because I remember, because I read it recently as opposed to other books I read in the past. They're very similar, but I think this one's better. More practical. Next one, Brave New World. Wow. First time I saw this book was like after reading 1984, right? People say, these two books are the pillar of dystopia fiction. And I really loved 1984, and when I read Brave New World, the first few paragraphs, like, what are you talking about? I couldn't get into the story. Like he was talking about those hatcheries, how human beings are hatched in the factory and blah blah blah. It was so tedious, so boring. And also, first time when I read this, my English was also worse. So I picked it up again. I read ebook, and after the first few chapters, it started to get interesting because you started to follow the life of some protagonists, some characters, instead of just read about how the world worked in that fictional world. So it started getting interesting. That was very cheesy. But in the middle, it got more interesting when they traveled to Mexico to experience the uncivilized world that is outside the realm of this Brave New World stuff, this dystopia stuff. And it just suddenly got so much more interesting. And the end, the third stage of the book, holy shit, it is good. I totally understood why it was regarded so highly, like up there together with the 1984. totally understood. But the beginning was tedious. It was hard to get through. But once you get through that, you would totally enjoy this book. I read it really fast. Really enjoyed this book. Next one, The Laggard Queen of Minnesota. This is a book of three generations, but actually it's just about a grandma and sister of grandma and then granddaughter. Their individual stories, their struggles, their journey to success. Interesting, entertaining book, right? Entertaining book. Next one, The Couple Next Door. Oof, this one, oh my god. Just finished this a few days ago. Very, very cheesy, very predictable, very boring. Okay, not necessarily boring, but it's cheesy. It's like not challenging you in any way. It's like, okay, I was gonna describe it as a cheesy, a well-crafted, cheesy clusterfuck family story, betrayal and everything, and conspiracy, family conspiracy. Clusterfuck, dumpster fire. It's kind of oh man, this story, man. Oh man. Nope. I don't know. When I'm bored, I can read this, but you don't really learn anything from this kind of book, man. Really. Alright, that's the whole book list. Now you can see here I'm at 150 books. If we exclude a few Italian and German, we're at how many Italian and German books have I read here? Let's see. We have the Cat book, This Diary, Chick. That's the German book. The Psychology book. And what else? This Future book, and the other Italian book. The Imaginary Friend. So we have 6 books that are not in English, and all the others are in English. So 142 are in English. Let me just note it down. How many are not in English? Non-English. 6, I believe. We'll count it later again. Yeah, basically 142 English, 2 Italian, a bunch of German. There you go. That's my book list. Man, I'm a slow reader. I'm a very slow reader. When I read on paper, when I read with my eyes, I'm super slow. So yeah, this is the best I can do, I guess. 30 books a month is not a month, a year is the best I can do, I guess. So first 12 books. These 12 books are not recorded because it was before I started this list. And in 2015, I did 26 books. 2016, 32 books, because thanks to Audible, I listened to a lot of audiobooks. 2017, 30 books, not bad. 2018, sharp dip, went straight down to 24 books. What happened? I don't know. Maybe because I started a new job, or maybe because I spent more time and energy in StarCraft to compete. Yeah, basically, I guess, yeah, 2018 I got really much better in StarCraft. I spent much more time in StarCraft. That's why I read less as well. 2019 I'm trying to pick up again. So as you can see here, in September I already read in as many books as in 2018. So we still have a few months to go, like October, November, December, 3 months to go. I think we can hit 30 easily, right? With the help with the audiobook. Alright, that's the book list. That's what I read. And that's my whole story. And thanks for watching. Holy shit, this is a long ass video. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!